Hey guys, Bobby here today. Hey folks, today we're going to be working on our Ford 2.5 liter engine project, and we're actually going to be installing the pistons today. We'll do a plastic gauge on the rod before we put the rod caps on as well. So we'll take you through that. We'll also talk about how we lubricate the pistons, how we position the oil control rings and compression rings, and what type of tool we use to compress all that. So stay tuned, it's a lot of information. Okay guys, we're going to start putting these pistons in now. First of all, I'm going to do is take a little bit of this Dawn motor oil. No, I'm just kidding. This is actually just a Dawn container. Has some 5W30 motor oil in here. And I'm going to give a little squirt in the bore there and just take my finger and go around real good, just like so, okay? And that's about all I do as far as lubricating the cylinder wall there. Now let's take our piston here, and I'm gonna put a little bit more of this lube on here. I got this engine assembly lube that I like to put on the bearings. Just squeeze a little bit on here, and it's already got some on it, but I want to give it a little bit more, just like so. Make sure our bearing is in place, and this is number 1 cylinder. I got a number put on there that we had from when we went to the before we went to the machine shop. We actually stamped everything. So now what I want to do now, guys, is just go ahead. I got my engine tray laying right underneath there. I'm going to take some motor oil and just generously put it on the pistons, okay? Let it go all in the rings really good, and just get everything lubricated. If this engine smokes a little bit when we first fire it up, that's okay. I'd rather have things over lubricated than under lubricated, because the break-in period is your most important time. Okay, so now I want to take my oil rings and get them turned like I want. So my gap on my oil ring is right there, just like we planned, and on the other side as well. And compression rings, I'm going to put the second compression ring facing the back of the motor, and the top compression ring facing the front of the engine. Okay, so now we're ready to go, and the dot on the piston facing the front of the engine. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in place, and we're just going to put it in about that far right there. Okay, that's about all we need to do at the moment. Now let me go ahead and grab my spring compressor, and we'll get this thing installed. Okay guys, this is my spring compressor that I've had since I was about 16 years old. That's right. My first engine I built when I was 17, I used this exact spring compressor, okay? It's made by Craftsman, it has a lifetime warranty, and I haven't had to replace it yet. It's still been working great. Now, I like to use a 1/4 inch drive socket with a ratchet with a 6-inch extension to operate the little square drive here. Seems to work better for me. So now let's go ahead and clamp this onto our piston. So let's hold it up here, get our rings inside there. Go ahead and crank this on down. Squeezing all our rings in place, okay? And let's get down here. I'm gonna get down here on my knee right quick. Make sure we're still like I want it. And let's go ahead and tighten on down, okay? And I think we are. Sometimes you might have to bump this with your hand just to kind of make sure you're still squared up to the engine block. And I think we're good. Get it as tight as you can with that tool right there. And now I am going to take the butt end of a hammer here. I want to make sure my dot is still lined up. And I'm going to try to get this piston on in the bore. Now come around here right quick. I want to show you something right quick. I have my crankshaft turned totally away from this connecting rod. There's no way that my connecting rod is even going to come close to that at this time, where I don't have to worry about the rod bolts gouging my crankshaft. Okay, so bring the camera back around here. We're going to let them see me knocking this piston in. Okay, real easy. Just go ahead and may have to take and square up your thing again. Give it a little bump, and you should be in here. And when this comes off in your hand, you're in the bore. Okay, so let's lay this aside, and then we'll finish driving this sucker in. So from this point, what I like to do is go ahead and reach around here and grab the tip of that connecting rod. Make sure your bearing's still in place, and I'm gonna hold that tip of it with my finger, okay? And then on this side, I'm taking the butt end of the hammer, and I'm gonna continue driving this in until I get it all the way up on the crankshaft. Now I want just my fingertip on here, okay? I don't want to gouge the other rod bolt into the crankshaft, okay? I just want to let my fingertip ride up real easy on this journal. Now some people will use like a piece of rubber, something that'll go around the bolts, and that's a great idea. I just don't have any of that, and this way here has been working pretty good for me for my career. And there we go. So now you can see that we're all the way in place, okay? We bottomed out, and we are going to come over here now. We're going to reposition the engine, and we are going to put a piece of plastic gauge on there and just take a reading. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, hey guys, here's a piece of what they call plastic gauge. Okay, I've actually cut off a little section of it. It's a piece of like wax inside here. Okay, and it will squeeze out to these widths, and it will tell you a reading of how many thousandths of an inch of oil clearance that you have. So let's just go ahead and tear off the end here and open it up. And our specification for this engine is anywhere from a half a thousandth, I believe, up to about 1.5 thousandths of an inch, okay? And it has a tolerance that will take you up to about 2 thousandths of an inch if need be, okay? So see what we do, we just lay it down right on top of the rod there. We're gonna take our cap, okay? We're gonna wipe it pretty much clean. Now remember, our other side actually had oil on there, okay? And I went ahead, normally it's best to maybe do it dry, but I'm not gonna drive that piston out a second time just to check this. This should be right. This engine has, the crank did not get turned. These are standard bearings. I'm just checking this just to be on the safe side, okay? So let's turn the notches toward one another, okay? Put this in position. I want to double check my marks on here. And yep, I see where I stamped the 1 on both sides. I'm going to take my rod nuts here, and we're going to put them on. And we're going to torque them down to, we're just going to go 25 foot-pounds. There's a double sequence here where you go 25 and then 35, okay? And I may just go 25 and back it off. Let's see here. Okay, well, we may just go ahead and torque it on up to 35 too. All right, so there we go. There's 25 foot-pounds. There's 25. Let's go ahead and bring it on up to 35. Is what it recommends for second torque, which is right there, okay? Let's go ahead and do that as well. There we go, there's 35 right there, 35 right there. Okay, now we can, from that point, go ahead and back things off, okay? We're just gonna go ahead and back them off and take a look at our plastic gauge. Okay guys, so there's our plastic gauge all squeezed out there, and we can take our little chart here on a piece of gauge and we can take a reading, okay? So right there, it's definitely more than 1 thousandths, and it's between 1.5 and 2 thousandths, okay, which is perfectly where we need to be at, guys. So that's really good right there. I'm going to take a little bit of brake clean, wipe that plastic gauge off, put some lube on this cap, and put it back together. Okay, hey, we're good to go here, guys, and I'm actually able to spin this engine here with just my hand on a socket here. Spin it nice and freely, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get cylinder number 2 ready here. I've got it lined up, and we're gonna go ahead and probably just kind of time lapse the rest of these pistons installed for you, so stay tuned. Okay guys, this just about wraps it up. We've actually got our bottom end together now. The short block, if you want to call it, is put together, and we can start putting other components back on now, like the oil pump and oil pan, cylinder head, so forth. You'll notice in the time lapse that I had a little trouble with number 2 cylinder. Didn't quite get it clamped all the way. I had to back it back out because the top compression ring wouldn't go in the bore. Okay, so that is something to be careful for when you are installing pistons. If something doesn't feel right, don't keep banging away. You'll end up breaking a piston or breaking a ring or something like that. So just back off, see what the problem is. So we had to just tap it back out, recompress it, and it went right in. Okay, so guys, just wanted to show this video to you today. Hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check that description down below for some cool stuff, and follow along with this series that we're doing on this little Ford engine. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.